the Lakers in the West, especially when they are up against the best of, like the Thunder. Well, I will say this, it helps when the Lakers could not miss a three, like literally Exhibit A. Final 50 seconds of the first quarter, Lakers up 8, make it 11. That was LeBron to Gabe Vincent. That is their 7th made three. Now in the second, LeBron's like, hi, me too, I can do that. That's 10 threes. Lakers up 20, not a mistake. Then Luka, eyes in the back of his head. Vincent in the corner. He made 4, topped only by one other player on the Lakers roster. And that would be the guy who tossed him the ball. Luka made 5, part of a 30-point effort in this game. Lakers led by 22 at the half because they shot like this. 15 threes in the first half, tied for the most made threes in a half in franchise history. And all that's great for the Lakers, but it's really not good for the Thunder. Most points they've allowed at half all season, 78. Largest halftime deficit this season, 22. Didn't get much better in the second half. Luka, that was pretty. Said LeBron, Luka was spectacular. So was that shot. 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, then throw in 19 from LeBron. In the words of SGA, the Thunder didn't do anything to deserve a win. The Lakers did, though, 126-99.
Sometimes great players can get bored with that process. And so when you get like the fully engaged star in a big time game, some special things can happen. And Luka did some special things tonight. We were running a smash, and it was not the first option, but just the way they covered it. Very clear that Gabe was open, and I was like, hit the smash. And he dribbled into the paint and then threw it behind his head. And St. Gene was like, oh, he sees it. You don't need to tell him.
And this is a really big loss for the Thunder, in part because this is a team that has 50 double-digit wins this season, yet they spent 29 minutes of this game down by at least 20.
Yikes.
Coming from the mountain time zone, that's easy to say.
That's easy for me to say. The Lakers absolutely smacked the Thunder tonight, 126-99. It all but locked up their 3 seed now. They are 2 games ahead of all the big, giant, messy middle in the Western Conference. All the teams with 32 losses, they're at 30. So they're in a good spot. They do have 4 games left, so it's not completely over. But what happened in this one that you took note of?
Well, the biggest storyline of the game is the way the Lakers shot the ball from the 3. Like that's going to be the nights that they're able, to light it up from the 3. They can be almost unbeatable if they're going to shoot like some of these teams that we know can go off, like Boston, Cleveland, these teams that can just light you up from out there at nights. Sometimes Oklahoma City can be like that. The Lakers made 22 threes in this game. That was the storyline, and they were a plus 30 from the 3-point line over OKC, and they win the game by 27 points. I was shocked by 2 different things, and it really involves what the Lakers were able to do on both ends of the floor. Number one, I couldn't believe how difficult it was for Oklahoma City to beat guys off the dribble. Normally, and I've seen them so much this year, like they have so many guys that are so quick with the ball when it's a swing pass and they go, or obviously Shea, what he can do to you with a live dribble, Jalen Williams too. They couldn't get by anybody one-on-one in this game. Like they just couldn't beat them definitively to now go force a reaction and make a play. Like whoever was on their hip stayed on their hip. And the Lakers, we've talked about this a lot. They've got a lot of length and size with different guys that can guard these dudes. Right, LeBron, Dorian Finney-Smith, Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, like all of those guys have pretty good size, and they could do a really good job of sliding, staying with you. Oklahoma City's usually not bothered by that kind of stuff. They were in this game. For whatever reason, man, there was just no gaps to be had. And to such an extent, Adam, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did not take a free throw in this game.
What?
Now, you're talking about a dude that, I mean, it's pretty commonplace he gets there 10 times a night. I think he's done that like 38 times or something this year. He didn't take a free throw in the game. And so the Lakers were not only like sliding with him and bothering him. He had a decent shooting, like right just under 50%. They weren't fouling him. And a bit more importantly, they weren't overcommitting or overreacting to penetration because guys weren't getting beat. So as a result, the 3-point kick out wasn't really there. So that's the first thing that stood out to me. I just thought, man, Oklahoma City is bottled up by this team. So that's we'll get to talk about the defense in a second. Let's just get your thoughts on that first of all.
Well, my thoughts on it are 20 assists for Oklahoma City. Obviously, if you're not making shots, the assists are going to be low, but that also points to what you were talking about. But my thing, Legs, is as good as Oklahoma City is, I think that they struggle. The one weakness they have is they struggle against big wings, and the Lakers have two of the absolute best of them. Because LeBron and Luka, I think, are a little bit more unbothered. We talked about this the last time they matched up, but they're a little bit less bothered by the Lou Dorts of the world, the Shays, all of the different defenders they have. And again, I did not see this game, but I do see that Luka Doncic had a very comfortable 30-point night, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. And so when I see the outcome of this, yes, the hot shooting obviously is the story, but that part of it still is something that I watch for when I look at that matchup. Lakers versus them, I don't know if they can guard their key guys.
And look, I said this about Luka last year when they were getting ready to play in that Minnesota series. He's not bothered by length and quickness at all. He's not. He doesn't care because he's using his strength against you, and he's so patient and so slow that he doesn't care about how quick you are. He's going to go at his pace, and he's going to beat you up physically. Dort is the one guy Luka's acknowledged as being like the toughest guy to guard him. And it's because of the brute strength. He can hold his ground, and Luka really needs you to give ground to operate because he's not blowing by you. He needs you to back up when he hits you so he can go to the lean back and the up fake and get the fouls and all that. Here's the problem. Lou Dort can't guard both of those guys. And Oklahoma City's got a lot of really good individual defenders, but against those two guys, LeBron and Luka, it requires a very specific type of guy with a lot of strength. And you can't put him in both places. So I think to your point, Luka wasn't affected at all. LeBron had I would call it a fairly quiet game. He didn't really go off, he didn't get to the line either, by the way, which is one of the reasons his numbers weren't better because he didn't shoot any free throws either. The game was really about Luka offensively and the way that they shot the ball around him because he was not really affected by anything Oklahoma City was doing to him with their pressure. And that is what they live on. They need that to happen to affect the ball handlers, affect the entry passes because they're so quick and they're all over it. Luka was just kind of doing his thing, getting to his spot. And as a result, Oklahoma City was committing, make extra guys. Luka now spreading it around. All the 3-point shooters got comfortable. And the Lakers, I don't know that I've seen them play many games this year, if any, that were more impressive than what I saw out of them today on both ends of the floor.
Wow, that's a big one. Any final thoughts on this game before we move on?
It's interesting now. You look at Oklahoma City, okay? So one of the things I did think about, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Lakers did. I just gave them all the praise in the world. So take this, for what it's worth. I'm looking at Oklahoma City a little bit. I'm saying to myself, like, they just lost back-to-back games. It's only it's only happened a couple times all year. Like that's the most they've lost all year. They've never lost 3 in a row, never more than 2. And both of these games, I'm watching them and I'm just kind of like, did they peak a little bit too early? Like they've had such a stranglehold on the Western Conference. And I know they were in this battle with Cleveland for a while for the best overall record. I think that's pretty much over now, right? They're going to get that. So I just wonder, where are they right now in terms of their edge? I think the one thing they were still going for was 70 wins. I think they wanted to get it. Well, their loss in their last game took that out of the equation. So the most they could have gotten was 69. Now it's going to be 68. There was something missing about them the last 2 games. It just was. They had less emotion than they normally play with. And I'm just wondering, is that just a byproduct of this incredible year they've had, lapping the field in West, nobody close to them, finally getting to the point where, I say they wrapped it up, but they had a 3-game lead. I'm not sure what it is right now, but they now have to work a little bit maybe here at the end to secure that overall home record. But these last 2 performances were not what I've watched all year out of them. The Lakers, what did they get in the first half? The Lakers had 78 points in the first half, Adam.
Well, I'm looking though at their shooting, though. I think they were over 80%.
Not only the number 1 defensive team in the league, they're the number 1 defensive team by a mile over everybody else. When you look at the metrics, the Lakers had 78 points in the first half against this team. So I'm looking at that and just saying, man, there's something was a little bit off for the Thunder the last couple of games. And now you've got 4 games to kind of go get that right before you start this playoff run.
I'm not going to be worried about them. I mean, this game,
No,
I do think this matchup.
I'm not either.
But I just think it's end of year. You know, what do they have to play for? You can't fake the intensity, the urgency. It is funny now that they are within 2 games of the Cleveland Cavaliers, so it is possible that they, you know, it's the home court throughout the entire run, all the way through the finals, is not locked up. It was more or less locked up, but now they have to turn it back on. So maybe we see another game from out of them, and they play the Lakers again here in a couple of nights. So, you know, an opportunity that's. I agree with you in this. I think it's a little important for OKC. Not that important. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 1, but it's a little important because I do think you want to sort of prove that you could beat that team in case you match up with them in a Western Conference Finals, which feels increasingly possible as this season kind of unfolds. The next one I got for you is the game I watched, the one game I can talk about, which is the Pacers and the Nuggets, 125-120. Pacers get the win on the road over Denver. Denver couldn't stop anybody in this game. Jokic goes for 41, 15, and 13 in a loss. He's had nothing but monster stat lines this week in losses. But the news, Jamal Murray's missed 5 straight games and then was day-to-day. In the pregame presser, Michael Malone said that Jamal Murray has gone from day-to-day to not day-to-day and that they hope to have him back in the playoffs. The Nuggets have been reeling. Of the teams that are in that upper echelon of really the entire NBA, they have fallen apart at the finish line here physically. And emotionally, this to me looked like a team that had maybe quit. But the big news is Jamal Murray. If he is not healthy, even if he missed all this time and comes back for the playoffs, you go right from unhealthy to in the playoffs. That's scary. But now, Legs, he might not even be ready by then. What do you make of that story?
Man, what a turn it took for him because he was having such a great year. And now, you know, it's been a while since we've seen him right. It's impossible really for Denver to, you know, make up for that, what he gives them. Because when you look at their roster, they just don't have a lot of guys that can handle the ball and create offense outside of Jokic. And so when you take Jamal Murray off the floor, man, they're just a completely different team. And this is kind of news to me. You told me this before we came on. I didn't realize that this news was coming out. Maybe none of you did. Maybe this is a surprise to everybody in Denver because I didn't think this was coming. But so are you saying that they're saying he might not be available again in the regular season, or are you saying he might not even be ready to go in the playoffs?
Michael Malone said this injury is a weird one because we thought he was day to day, but it's kind of something's come up with it. And so now the hope is he'll be ready by the playoffs. That was his exact quote. So to me, or more or less his quote. So to me, it sounds like, yes, it was certainly in doubt for the regular season. And then you take a week off. And I think what Malone is saying is this is an injury that we thought would have rehabbed by now. So I can't tell you it'll be rehabbed in a week, 2 weeks, because we don't know. We thought it would already be done.
It sounds, so it sounds like when you get, and I played with different guys at various times. I never really went through it, but where this stuff sort of lingers on, you don't really know when a guy's going to come back because it seems like all of the time frames that are put out there with that specific type of injury, they've already passed that. So now you're like, well, then what's going on? So that's obviously terrible news for them. Now, look, if he just misses the rest of the regular season and he is able to come back at the start of the playoffs, and he feels good, I think Jamal Murray, getting a little bit of rest here at the end of the year is not the worst thing in the world, assuming he feels healthy. Now, if he comes back and he's limited or doesn't come back at all, man, that could be death knell for Denver. They could be gone in the first round.
Yeah, there's no question. Here's Jokic's last 3 games: 61, 10, and 10, 62% shooting, 33, 12, and 9, 76.5% shooting.